You're listening to the Moist Boys Podcast.
Hey everyone, this is Josh, your Moist Boy today. Today I'm going to be talking about Bumblebee, the newest Transformers film. Is it the best Transformers? Well, the answer might surprise you if you think the answer is no, but if otherwise, you're not going to be surprised. So a little bit of backstory on this series. I've seen the first one, which I thought was had some good parts and some bad parts. Overall, it's an okay movie. 2 and 3 were absolutely terrible, just real bad movies. The fourth one, I couldn't make it all the way through. 40 minutes in, I thought I was halfway through the movie, so I just had to turn it off at that point, and I never went back and finished it. And then I just skipped the fifth one. So that's kind of my backstory with these films. So Bumblebee begins off on Cybertron, and for me, this was kind of sending up some red flags in my mind because there's a lot of CGI nonsense going on. It was real loud and busy on the screen, and I was a little concerned that's the way the entire movie was going to end up being, kind of despite what the trailers had shown up to that point. And then as we leave Cybertron and end up on Earth, that kind of loudness and busyness kind of continues for a little bit. There's a little bit of cringy humor involving John Cena and one of his friends that ends up just disappearing from the film after this scene. But after those loud few moments, 10-15 minutes at the beginning of the film, it kind of slows down a little bit and kind of loses that frantic Michael Bay-esque tone. So on Cybertron, Autobots and Decepticons, for those of you that don't know the lore of Transformers, they're having some sort of civil war where the Decepticons are kind of the ruling class and the Autobots want more freedom. Decepticons are all about ruling with an iron fist. So that's kind of where the story leads in. And you kind of have to know that going into the film because it doesn't really explain much in the way of anyone's motivation. You're given characters, Bumblebee and Optimus Prime at the beginning. So if you don't know the backstory of Transformers, you might be a little bit lost, but I think overall it's kind of seeped into the consciousness of cinema so that most people kind of have a general understanding of what's going on. So after the introductory part of the movie, we get into the real meat of it. So the main character is played by Hailee Steinfeld. She's the main protagonist of this film. She plays a character named Charlie. So through a series of events, she ends up finding Bumblebee, buys him, or where she discovers that he's actually a Transformer. With this scene, there's quite a bit that happens between introducing Hailee Steinfeld's character and getting to this part. And so there was one particular Bumblebee plot point that I had completely forgotten about because it was kind of a throwaway moment when it happened at the beginning. So when it comes back later, I wish there was some sort of reminder of what the situation was, because it was a little unclear at that point. Also, at the beginning of this film, introducing Hailee Steinfeld's character, there are a few too many musical cues that are a little on the nose. I was kind of getting some Suicide Squad flashbacks. Not nearly as bad, but fortunately after probably 6 or 7 songs at the beginning of the film, it kind of slows down as the story gets more involved. So I would say compared to the other Transformers films, other than that John Cena bit towards the beginning, there really isn't a lot of cringe-inducing humor as much as there were in the old Transformers films. Additionally, the fight scenes are well shot and choreographed. You can actually see what's happening on screen. It's not just a big mess of flying parts. There are a couple of moments where that does happen, but it enhances the action scenes as opposed to encompasses them entirely. The characters in the film are much better than in the original Transformers series. The characters are much more relatable in this film compared to the previous ones. In particular, Pamela Adlon, who plays Hailee Steinfeld's mother, is able to bring a lot of humanity and relatability to a character that could easily, in say Michael Bay's hands, become more of a caricature. Is able to bring actual emotion to the character. There is a plot point involving Haley Steinfeld's character that is introduced in the movie, and it is kind of the big emotional payoff at the end. I do think it could have been implemented better. I didn't think that it did justice to what they could have done with it, or at least involved it in the story somehow. But still leagues better than Shia LaBeouf's characters. For the Transformers, they are much better designed in this. There are distinct designs for every character. You're not completely confused about who's doing what to whom or who the villains are. Particularly the Decepticons are uniquely designed for each character, so it's not just rows and rows of nondescript characters getting gunned down. There are a couple at the beginning on Cybertron, but once it kind of gets into the main action, those character models go away and you're just left with the identifiable ones. So overall, I would say that this was an enjoyable film. I was spoiled a little bit because I had just seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse the day before, so I was still kind of riding that high. So compared to the former Transformers films, this is a much better movie, far and away. So I would say if you wanted Transformers films to be good, that this was kind of the movie that you've been waiting for. I think this is the film that the other Transformers films should have been from the very beginning. So there is a mid-credits stinger scene that's kind of broken into two parts. The part that involves the Transformers, it's very...